Hello, bonjour, Sanbonani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, especially under these circumstances. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. My name is Nompumelelo Riel Kunene. I'm going to be your host for today. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to put in the chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to achieve from today's podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have amazing speakers who's gonna share some nuggets on how to increase your emotional intelligence. In Louisiana, we have Grant Raphael. In Slovakia, we have Joseph Koller. And shortly, we're going to be joined in Manchester, United Kingdom by Alieuba. So at this moment, I will let our speakers to introduce themselves before we get started. So you can go ahead, Grant.
Hello, my name is Grant Raphael. I work out of Hammond, Louisiana. I'm an entrepreneur and motivational speaker, and my goal is to help people take control of their own health and their own lives by connecting to their innermost soul and stepping into their true potential by healing and balancing their mind, body, and soul so that they can overcome any obstacle in their life, no matter how impossible it may seem.
Wonderful. You can go ahead, Joseph.
Hello, good evening. My name is Joe Koller. I'm from Slovakia. I am a CEO of incorporated company. I am as well international motivational speaker, coach, and mentor. What I specialize in is helping individuals overcoming obstacles that I have overcome myself. Single dad or single parents, as I am single parent for the last 8 years, and really to give a people hand to show that everything is possible if you are willing to ask for help.
Amazing. So our first speaker is going to be Grant Raphael. Grant, in the fall of 2012, while Grant was studying for medical school at LSU, he contracted West Nile encephalitis, which caused major health complications such as seizures, as well as a chronic fatigue and migraines. Doctors told him there was no cure for his illness and that they could only treat his symptoms with medication, to which his body quickly became addicted to. So after 2.5 years of unsuccessful treatments, Grant doctors told him there was nothing more they could do and that he would have to live the rest of his life living with a handicap. It was that day that he decided to take his life into his own hands by focusing on healing not only his body, but also his mind and soul. After months of prayer and meditation, he was able to search deep within himself and connected with a part of himself he never knew existed. It was through this connection that he met God for the very first time. Wow. And he was instantly healed from his illness. And since that day, he never had any complications from his West Nile, including the fact that he never had seizures then. Now his goal is to help others take their lives into their own hands and find their own path to healing. So kings and queens, help me to welcome Grant Raphael in the podium.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me here. It's an honor just to be here. And I love sharing my message because a lot of it is just really people stepping into their own power. And like I said, really taking control of their own health and their own lives. Because what I went through with West Nile, I was honestly miserable. I was in a lot of pain. I was suffering. I was scared to go to sleep. And yet it was through this process that I got closer to God and truly found myself. And so what I tell people all the time is that we have enough power and potential to overcome any obstacle in our lives. Because what happened was my doctors had told me that there was nothing more that they could do for me and that I'd have to live the rest of my life living with this handicap. And it was at that moment that I decided to take control of my own health. And I said, I'm going to do this myself because the problem with Western medicine is that they focus so much on the physical and they don't focus on all the other intangibles. And so whenever my doctors told me there's nothing more they can do, I started looking into Eastern medicine. And Eastern medicine is much more holistic. It's much more, it's saying that we're much more than just these physical beings. And they actually say that any kind of physical ailments that we have, it's actually something in our, any physical problem that we have is actually something energetic or in the spiritual that trickles down and affects us in the physical. And so what I started doing was I started focusing on my mind, body, and soul. And there's ways you can go about explaining it, but for this today's topic, I'm going to talk about the 4 levels of self. We have our physical self, our physical body, which we all know of, but then we also have our emotional body. And so these are emotions, sadness, joy, jealousy, anger. Then we have our mental body, and that's our mind, that's our consciousness. And there's a difference between our brain and our mind. Because if you think about it like a computer, our brain is the hardware, it's the physical computer. But if a computer's not plugged in, a computer's pretty much useless. But our mind is the electricity, it's the current that goes through the computer. And so it's our mind that facilitates our thoughts. And then the last level, we have our soul, which is our true self. It's our innermost self. And that's where our true potential is. That's the omnipresent and the omnipotent God within us. And that's our true identity. But we're just not used to stepping into who we truly are on the inside. And so the true importance of healing is that we have to heal and balance all levels of self because they all trickle down to one another. And so for this conversation, we're going to focus on emotions and our emotional intelligence and why it's so important to be aware of your emotions, because our emotions affect us physically. And we know this to be true. If you're angry, your blood pressure rises. If you're sad or depressed, your immune system is lowered. If you're stressed, cortisol is released into your body. So we know that our emotions actually affect us physically. So if we start becoming aware of our emotions and we start actually helping to, instead of our emotions controlling us, we start facilitating our emotions, it leads to greater things within us. And so during the time that I was sick, a couple of things that I would do, one of them was just acknowledging any emotions that I felt. So anytime that I was sad or angry or jealous, I would actually focus in and actually feel what those emotions are, because every emotion is different. If you notice, sadness feels different than jealousy. Jealousy feels different than anger. So anytime I would have those emotions, I would literally focus in and say, how does sadness feel? What is making me sad? How does anger feel? Why am I feeling angry? What is this jealousy? Where is it coming from? And I just started becoming aware of my own emotions. The second thing I would do was keep an emotional journal of sorts. So I would keep track of my emotions throughout the day. So if I started off happy and I started off feeling well, but then say something happened and all of a sudden I'm feeling sad, or all of a sudden I'm feeling angry or jealous, I started saying, wait a second, what happened? I went from being happy and now I'm feeling down here and now I'm feeling down here. So I would keep track of every time an emotion would come up. And this is a true example of what actually happened one day. I was living with a roommate and I was in my room and I was in a good mood. I was happy, everything was fine. And stepped outside to get a drink of water, started talking to my roommate. And somehow we started talking about how the house is kind of dirty, how there's kind of chores that need to be done. And hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. And the conversation, the tension started rising a little bit. You know, our voice started getting a little bit sterner. Our voices started kind of rising a little bit. And I started getting agitated. And I remember going back in my room and all of a sudden I'm just kind of in a bad mood. You know, it wasn't a big fight, but it was still something. But I noticed I was agitated and I was kind of mumbling and grumbling to myself. And I thought, wait a second, what happened? You know, I went from being happy in a good mood, stepped out, talked to my roommate, and come back, and now I'm in a bad mood. And so what I did was I did a play-by-play replay of what happened. And I searched for the cause and effect of why I went from being happy to agitated. And so I replayed the whole conversation and I said, well, he made a mention of my dirty dishes and that made me feel a certain way. So then I acted out of emotions and called him out for his dishes. And then that made him feel a certain way. He acted out and then he started pointing the finger at me. And so it became this big pointing match back and forth. And so I realized I mean, he was right. I should not have acted out of emotions And so I prayed on it and I meditated on it, and then actually went up to him and I said, hey, like, I'm sorry for acting that way. You know, like, you were right. I had no reason to really act out of my own emotions, act out of my own insecurities. And we squashed the beef instantly, and we ended up cleaning up the house and everything was perfectly fine. And so that's something that I would do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's, you know, I was upset about a test that I got, or maybe a phone call with a relative didn't go too well, or even if my favorite football team lost, I would keep track of every emotion and I would focus in and say, what happened? What caused me to experience this emotion? And how does that emotion make me feel? And do I want to feel that emotion? And one more example that I want to give as far as how we can really acknowledge and facilitate and control the emotions that we feel is, I like giving the example of, let's say you're walking with your friend and you're in a good mood, you're happy, everything's fine, but your friend finds $10 on the ground and you immediately start thinking, man, I wish I found that $10. You know, nothing good ever happens to me. I could do so much of that $10. And you go from being happy, and all of a sudden there's this little jealousy in the back of your head. And it might not be too much, but it's just, you know, it's just kind of there. And then you go throughout the day and you go home and you still got that, just that little bitty nagginess going on. And so you ask yourself, like, wait, you know, what's going on? Where's this coming from? I went from being happy, now I got a little bit of this. And so again, it's the process of the cause and effect. So you say, okay, so what was the cause? Well, the cause was me seeing my friend find $10. So what was the effect? The effect was having this little nagginess, jealousy over here. And so now I would say, okay, well, do I like this feeling? Do I want to feel jealous? And the answer is no. It's not good to feel jealous. You know, a lot of times it's not good to feel anger or sad or whatever the emotion is. Sure, maybe they have their times, but for the most part, you don't actually want to feel those emotions. And so what I would say is, you know what? I don't really want to feel this jealousy. And so I would mentally declare, I said, this emotion doesn't serve me, and I cast it out and I throw it. And we can do this because just like our emotions trickle down to our physical, our mind trickles down to our emotions. And so mentally, our consciousness, we have the ability to do away with any emotion. We don't let our emotions control us. We control and facilitate our emotions. So I would cast it out. And then what happens is there's this empty pocket of emotion right here. It's empty. And so I say, well, how do I want to feel? And I say, well, what about being happy? What about having gratitude? It's a good thing that my friend found $10. And then all of a sudden you start feeling happy. And all of a sudden you have this gratitude and you're like, wait, why was I jealous? This is actually a good thing. I'm happy for my friend. And the way that our emotions work is that our emotions go off of triggers of past experiences. So what happens next is, say 2-3 weeks later, you're with another friend and they find $20 on the ground, you automatically are happy. You're automatically happy for them. You've already done the work, and that's now the emotion that you feel. And then what often happens in the world, you know, they find $20, maybe they'll treat you to lunch. You know, that's just generally how things seem to happen. And so the thing is, we have the ability to be aware and acknowledge the root of our emotions and to heal and overcome them. Because just like how everything trickles down, our soul is at the top. And our soul is where we're omnipotent, where we're omnipresent, where we have this infinite potential, this infinite power within us. So when we start tapping into that and we really step into who we are as human beings, then we can control and we can facilitate any obstacles in our paths. Thank you.
So, wow, thank you so much, Grant. Thank you so much for sharing such a powerful message. Thank you so much for sharing how hitting rock bottom can be a blessing in our lives and how to acknowledge and heal our emotional triggers. That was really, really powerful. And you've also mentioned the importance of mastering your thoughts and the importance of trusting God. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Grant. So our next speaker is going to be Joseph Koller. Joseph Koller, he is in Slovakia. Joseph Koller is an entrepreneur, father, CEO, and co-founder of Golden Vision Inc. He's a speaker, coach, mentor, and a motivator. He's currently working on a project to help starting entrepreneurs in cooperation with group of professionals in online marketing and online selling. So kings and queens, help me to welcome Joseph Kohler.
Thank you very much, Nompumelelo. Thank you very much, Grant. That was a powerful story. I'm gonna connect to that what Grant was saying about emotions. Sometimes we don't realize that most of our day, most of our life is driven by emotions. But what that actually means, it's energy in motion that came here just to pass, not to stay. This is what I found in my life that I learned from the biggest speakers or the motivators around the world. I shared a little bit of my story where I twisted my life or turned the point that I'm here to help people. It was again in the lowest point of my life. I was living in Ireland at the time. I have lost company, lost marriage, lost everything. Nobody wanted to talk to me because of the low energy, as Grant was speaking recently. And as one of the biggest motivators is saying, with the biggest problems in your life, you all of a sudden become spiritual and you're looking to God. So that was the only thing that I had left in my life. So I said, God, give me a sign, please. What to do next? Where should I turn? Who should I ask for help? And there came a song from a rapper called DMX, Lord, Give Me a Sign, that I was singing around and around and around. And then Mr. Brown itself came on YouTube channel with his speeches from Georgia Dome with speech, it's possible. So that's how I knew you are here to help others to overcome what you're now overcoming. What I have for you in a short time tonight are a few key points that have helped me and that I have learned during the last 6, 7, 8 years in my personal development. What is beneficial and necessary for us to focus on to overcome emotional stages or emotional problems. First of all, I believe we have to be conscious or self-aware. We are so running on autopilot every single day. When we wake up, we go to a bathroom, we take care of our kids, we prepare lunch for them, we drive them to school, then we go to job, then we go to shop afterwards, then we come back again, a meal or dinner in the evening. It's all going so fast and we forgot to stop, pause and think, where are we going with that? Okay, but how to develop self-awareness? The only way I found working is to working on it. It's the same strategy as if you want to build a muscle. If you start to working out in a gym, it's the same principle for that. By learning from people who have mastered it already, by mentors or friends or coaches around you to start, by constant practicing. Once you have information, it is simple, but it requires hard work. It's a day-to-day job. You can't do it just on a day when you feel it. You have to do it constantly every single day to become good at it and to see the fruit of your labor. Practicing and monitoring your thoughts and words to give response to something that is going on, whether you're dealing in a business world or in a family world. Now, especially our children are our biggest teachers. And we find ourselves responding very quickly in there. That's where I learned how to calm myself. And what helped me was, first point that I have from another 4 for you is breath control. Now, when you are in emotional state that you want to express something very quickly, you're responding. You're not addressing the situation. So when you breathe through your nose, try 3 or 4 times, breathe in, breathe out, you're all of a sudden calmer and you'll say different things than you thought or that you wanted to say 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 seconds prior, and you're going to cause less damage. If we look at peak performing athletes, they're doing the same. They're not breathing heavily out of their mouth when they're starting the race. So you have a proof there that it's working. No matter what the issue is, breathe first. Be it business decision, be it family decision, and especially, if I may advise you, with your loved ones, because they are the most valuable human beings and what we have in our life. Second is self-management. You have to talk to yourself positively. I couldn't do it. I couldn't look to my eyes in a mirror in the morning, but I had to learn it. I have trained myself to see the solution, the result of a situation that I'm going to deal with, use visualization to see the end result before I started to do anything. Now, with my child, with my daughter, if we want to come into some agreement, I have to have in mind best interest of her and best interest for me. I have to start with that. So that has to be my focus. You have to talk to yourself in a positive way from the morning throughout the day, that you look good, you feel great, no situation is big for you, you can handle everything coming your way with a peace of mind. As you're talking to yourself in this positive way from the morning during brushing your teeth, you have no space in your head for the negative talk. That's how I started filling it up, and then listening others that teaches or coaches or do mentoring. Another point is when you have some task front of you, especially for mom is the most occupied business position in the world that I know, because what moms are able to do, no man is able to do it. I don't care how big company you have, mom can handle anything life will throw at her. So let's learn from ladies, let's learn from women. If you have big tasks or you have too many of them, prioritize what is really important for you, and then break it up to small bites. We have saying here in Slovakia, probably is in America and Canada as well, how do you eat elephant? It's giant. Bit by bit or bite by bite, break it up to small pieces. Yeah, and the most important, or one of the most important ones I have mentioned previously is the visualization. It's, as the giants are saying, coming preview of everything you attract or create in your life that you want. Be humble and show humility. If you haven't got enough experiences in emotional stability and you want to learn it, ask people. Look for groups, for supportive groups. I'm proud. I'm really humbled to be part of this group tonight that I have got invitation from Nompumelelo. I'm part of a group of Mr. Les Brown, and people who think alike. They are supporting each other every single day. So that's the spirit. That's the group of people that you want to be surrounded by. I have a small gift for you, if you don't mind, that I would like to share with you. I got it from my mentor in Australia. I know that he won't mind me sharing it, because he shares a lot of his stuff. I actually wear it every single day on my wrist, but you can put it down on a paper. If you want to do some task, or if you're going through some situation that you think you can't handle it, there is a simple technique that will help you, and it's actually NeuroMind hack. Our brain operates on stories. We're uploading it through our mind every single day. So if you see a task and you constantly think, oh, this is big, this is hard, this is not going to work out, I'm not enough. No, just scrap that and replace it with a simple word, with a simple 3 lines. This is simple. This is easy. This is fun. In the beginning, it might sound odd because, yeah, how it can be simple when I know it is hard. Just try it. This is simple. This is easy. This is fun. In a combination with breathing, when you calm yourself, you'll see whole different options and possibilities that you can, or the ways how you can approach the situation, and the end result will be totally different. You won't be so exhausted, and everyone around you will be happy. When I started with that at the end of July, when I took a 3-day mastermind, I was looking at the thing, how this can help. Well, after I repeated 100 times, 150 times, 200 times, since then, in a different mastermind, this year for me is big coaching year, despite of COVID, I have been able to jump out of plane. I can't swim, but I've done water rafting. I just came from Mexico where I've done diving, and I can't swim. Everything is possible, guys. Surround yourself with supportive group of people and look and seek for informations. I'm sure there are plenty of people that will be able or will be gladly able to offer you help. Thank you, Nompumelelo.
Powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph, for sharing such attributes on how to increase our emotional intelligence. You've mentioned self-awareness, self-management, motivation, empathy, and social communication. Wow, that was really, really powerful. And you've also mentioned that women are the foundation of each and every family. Yes, we are. We are. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joseph. So our next speaker will be Alieuba, my brother. I hope he's ready. He logged into hours earlier, so I forgive him for joining late. Alieuba was born and raised in Gambia, West Africa. He's in sales and marketing by profession. Alieu has worked for a printing company as a sales personnel. He also worked for an insurance company and a car dealership as a salesman. He moved to England back in 2013, and his first job was at Amazon. He then moved to Manchester 5 years ago, working for a wholesale company doing ladies' fashion as a sales advisor. So during the rest of his years living in Manchester, he realized that he has to learn a lot of skills in life. So he decided to take a course in personal training and nutrition. He was also trained on how to make coffees, like being a barista. This all benefits him a lot today. And he also started his self-development in 2019 and started reading books that will revolutionize his whole life. So kings and queens, help me to welcome Alieuba. My brother, the stage is yours. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Oh, I was muted.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, you just unmute me right now. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. And, thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor. And then I would like to, acknowledge you for the great work you're doing. Because as a host, you've been doing this for a while now. And then the first time I, see you speak, it was during during a summit that Ali organized in Canada, which was like which was called the Find Your Voice. That's where I saw you, and then you just dropped some knowledge over on that day, and then I was really, really impressed with you. And then also meeting you, in the Power Voice as well. It was really impressive. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I really appreciate it a lot. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Oh, it's because I have muted myself, sorry.
Okay,
you
so
hear
the
me now?
floor is mine now. I should go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So just hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aliuba. It's a great pleasure to be present in the greatness today. I would like to acknowledge the host, Namampelo Real Gunene, for the amazing work he is doing here. And I was watching her first time speaking at the summit, Find Your Voice, with many other speakers, which is organized by Ali. And the energy she saw, the conviction, the passion of what she is doing was just amazing. I also wanted to acknowledge all the great speakers here today present and thank everyone and also the amazing audience listening today. Without you, we would not be sharing our knowledge with you today. So ladies and gentlemen, I am going to talk about emotional intelligence today. And then I just want to ask you some questions. Who among you, the viewers watching me right now, thought for the past weeks that they are emotionally intelligent? Can you please raise your hand up? Perfect. And then, okay, now you thought of it, wouldn't you consider yourself emotionally intelligent? Please raise your hand up. And then also, who among you had worked on their emotional intelligence skills? Can you please raise your hands? I see you. Thank you very much. So I just wanted to say a story about, my life, the past, because I was brought up in Gambia by my namesake family, and I've been through a lot over there. When I was about 15 years, it was very, very hard for me. Because imagine someone brought you up without your parents. You didn't have that parents' love. And then in that case, you've been through a lot. They used to wake me up early morning, in Africa, how it is there. I think my sister can relate to that. I used to go fetch water miles, from the tap. And then I have to bring it back and then wash cars, do a lot of jobs, when I was a young kid, even before going to school. So which was really emotionally hard for me at that young age. But I tried to overcome all that. And then I tried to be emotionally intelligent. So I remember one day when I visited my mom and I complained a lot to her. Mom, I'm not happy where I am right now. The way these people are treating me, I don't like it. And my mom just gave me some words of wisdom. She told me that, Aliu, just be patient there. One day, everything will be okay. And then that really raised my emotional intelligence, knowing that whatever I'm going through at that point of time, it is just temporal. And it is teaching me for who I am today. And I'm so grateful for what I have been through and how I try to overcome it. So ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend Tammy, who is a hero intelligent teacher in Canada, who says we need a new system to train children to become their own superheroes, knowing that they got the gift in them and the potential. And she started to teach each kid at a young age about their IQ, mind intelligence, and the EQ, the emotional intelligence, and also the GQ, the genius intelligence. And the last one I want to mention is the HQ, the high intelligence. So according to her, if you expect the best from a children, the best will show up. To be able to help every child to find their purpose in life at an early age, the school system is not teaching the kids the best side of that. That's why you see an adult studying in her whole life and working with a good paid job but are not happy emotionally because they are using their emotional intelligence, because they're not using their emotional intelligence, and they are not living their own purpose. And also, she mentioned that don't ever know their superpowers in them. And Miles Monroe, my favorite pastor, who says that many people goes to university nowadays and study a course which, because of, is based on economic potential instead of based on personal fulfillment. So many people suffer through life not knowing who they are and what they're able to do to impact their life and other people's life. So by using the teaching of Tammy, the hero intelligent teacher, which is the attitude, the behavior, and the choices we make in life, that's going to help us to grow that intelligent, emotional intelligence in us. And that's all come down to the emotions, and that will help kids to be emotionally intelligent at young age. So Bruce Lipton also said this: if a kid is playing at a park and they just fell down, so the mom just look at them and then shout, ah, and then the kids just look at the mom. According to the reaction of the mom, that's how the kids are going to react. So in that case, if the kids become emotional and then you also become emotional and then you cry with the and then the kids become, but if you look at your kid and say, come on, get up, you're a big boy, or you're a big girl, they will immediately pick themselves up without even crying. So that's where they are able to showcase their emotional intelligence, not in their emotion. So in that case, this will be a tremendous change in this kid's life from a young age, preparing them for the outside world. And after they have discovered their own inner world, I'll also mention the 5 negative emotions to be avoided, which is the emotion of fear, which is really killing us nowadays, and the emotion of jealousy, and the emotion of hate, the emotion of revenge, the emotion of greed, the emotion of superstition, and the emotion of anger. These are 7 negative emotions which need to be avoided. And then I'll mention the 7 positive emotions that are like called also the emotional intelligence that need to be embraced, and then we can live by this emotion on a daily basis, which is gonna empower our emotional intelligence in us, which is the emotion of desire, the emotion of faith, and the emotion of love, the emotion of sex, and the emotion of enthusiastic. That enthusiastic, which is 95% inside and the 5% outside. And also the emotion of romance, the emotion of hope. I learned all this from the book of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I have to give them the credit. So emotional intelligence is just the awareness, be aware of your emotions and how to apply them to tasks like thinking and solving problems. That's by Ramona Harker. And the ability to manage emotion, which include regulating your own emotion and cheering up or calming down other people with emotional intelligence. And the fundamental part of the emotional intelligence is knowing who you are as a person and guide to how we are more emotional intelligent. I have step 1 here, a guide to know how emotional intelligent you can be. Number 1, acknowledge our emotion, understanding that when we feel emotion, that's okay. But when we should take it on the next available person who had nothing to do with what we are dealing with. You just need to talk to someone, talk about it, and then laugh about it, and then get over it. So step 2, differentiation and analysis. The emotions are different and you have to handle them in all different levels and separate them. Don't put it together. And then the other step is step 3, according to accept and appreciate emotions. This comes down to when a family member passed away. or a best friend, that is sad because they break your heart. I remember when my best friend passed away in a car accident. It was really emotional. I feel really, like emotional on that when it happened. So also step 4, reflect on your emotion and their origin, where they're from. And this is knowing and how you feel, the way you feel, and that really helps you to be more emotional intelligent and how to handle your own emotions. And you have step 5 as well, handle your emotion. You can handle your emotion in a different ways by talking to a friend about it. Or the other thing you can do, exercise, meditate, or yoga. Or my best way of handling my emotions is by filling up the bathtub with a hot medium water and then get into it with a nice smelling bomb bath. Get into it, put my relaxing music on the side, and then also have my fruits on the side, and I can be inside that bathtub for like an hour. That really calmed down my emotions, which is really, really helpful. And then also, step 6, handle the emotion of others by mastering your own emotion. It helps you to know how to handle other people's emotion because you have understanding and awareness. Just by asking the other person how you can support them. By doing that, you helping them to handle and discover their own emotional intelligence. Teaching this emotional intelligence in schools to kids in order to understand who they are, who they can, who they can do, and what they can do, and that will take out their superhero within them. And we will all live in a better families, a better community, and a better society, and a better nation, and finally, a better world of understanding, acceptance, and tolerance. Is a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Wow, you've nailed it. You've nailed it. Thank you so much, Alio, for sharing such
Thank you very much.
powerful
Thank
message.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing like the ability to understand our behaviors and controlling our emotions and also the behaviors of others around us. You've mentioned that emotional intelligence is the secret key to your dream life, and it is. So I'm just asking God to help me to control my emotions when my kids fall or when my kids hurt themselves, to be the one who is always strong. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I'm going to be the next speaker, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I've realized, introducing yourself in podcast is not an easy job because you'll be talking about yourself through and through. So I'll try to be as brief as I can. So my name is Nompumelelo Rial Kunene. I am an energetic professional speaker. I am also the author to Rise to Greater Heights book, which is a comprehensive guide to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. I am also a mentor coach, well known for encouraging many to rise from mediocrity into greatness, because I believe that we are in full control of our choices. So my title, Rise to Greater Heights, has inspired and empowered many to pursue their personal and professional passion to become go-getters. So as I wear many hats as a professional certified sales manager, esthetician, philanthropist, and a commissioner for oaths, following my dreams gave me the reason to see my goals through and understand that I have everything around me to reach to my full potential. So my everyday message is that your journey to be a better person starts with you. Knowing who you are to your core will make you understand that you are the only one who can achieve all of your dreams. So my everyday book, Hebrews 11, Psalms 27 and 40, keeps me to rise to greater heights. So our viewers online, please feel free to put in the chat box if you have any questions for any of our speakers today, and we're gonna attend to your questions at the end of our podcast. But before I continue, I just wanna double check if I'm in the right platform here. How many of you with a raise of hand can say that Nompumelelo, I have never, ever complained in life. Never. I have never, ever complained in life. Because sometimes in life we go complaining about everything. Oh, the weather is really bad today. Traffic was worse than expected. My family drives me crazy sometimes. Oh, the movie was really disappointing. You name it. Though whining can be a way to build an inspiration, it can also keep us from acting. And it gives excuses time to procrastinate from achieving goals. One thing I've realized is that we usually complain in the wake of a negative situation. We tend to focus more on the problem than finding potential solutions. It is so much easier to complain than to find solutions. And individuals who whine on a regular basis, they are apt to have a bad health. So next time I'll find you complaining that, why do pizzas come in square boxes? Yet they are round. And funny enough, they are cut in triangles. Does that sound like you? Yeah, please write this down. Increase your emotional intelligence. Increase your emotional intelligence. If you aspire to be in a leadership role, there is an emotional element you need to consider. Emotional intelligence has to do with one's ability to both recognize and control their own emotions. Those possessing a high level of emotional intelligence have a connection with their own emotions, as well as the ability to recognize, relate to, and influence the emotions of others. People who excel in emotional intelligence can be easy to recognize, since they know what they are feeling and how these emotions can affect others. If I may ask you, how many of you have dreams and goals that you want to achieve, maybe before the year's over, maybe before 6 months, maybe before a year? Just put in the chat box, rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights. Because the most effective leaders are all alike in one crucial way. They are aware of their own strengths and weaknesses, and they strive for continuous improvement. Most people make mistakes around emotional intelligence because they don't acknowledge their own flaws, or they don't even learn from their own mistakes. Perhaps they are not able to delegate at work, or at least understand what's going on with other people. So this is a wake-up call today, but please, when that alarm clock goes off, don't ever hit the snooze button. Don't be like, I'll wake up in the next 2 minutes. I'll wake up in the next 4 minutes. You know what? Forever is a long time. So why don't you just wake up, get going, and increase your emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is an important characteristic for anyone at any level in an organization. And it is widely known to be a key component of effective leadership. So as an entrepreneur, I have experienced many emotions and became very aware of the sensitivity towards others' emotions. Like the Book of Life says, a fool vents all his feelings, but a wise man always holds them back. So for leaders, having an emotional intelligence is essential to understand what motivates them and how to work cooperatively with them. I so wish that you can just tell yourself right now that, you know what, I'll have to make a difference. I'll have to make a difference in my life. I'll have to make a difference to those around me. But in order for you to make that change in your life, to make a difference in your life, you've got to be hungry. You've got to be hungry, like a hungry lion in the jungle. Honestly, that hungry lion, it doesn't matter what kind of animal comes his way. It doesn't matter if you're that giant elephant or that small squirrel in the jungle. All what he sees in front of him is lunch. And it's so funny because even with elephants, when they see a lion, they always run. What's in their mindset is telling them that I am a lunch to that lion, so I'll have to run each and every time when I see that lion. I think that's the mentality that we need in order for us to increase our emotional intelligence. Please also write this down. Self-regulation. Self-regulation. As flight attendants will always say that, put on the oxygen mask first before you assist others, because if you don't, you and the person you're trying to help could both go down. So I believe that being self-aware when you are in a leadership position means that you do understand how you feel and what your strengths and limits are. At the same time, behaving with humility. Emotional intelligence breeds self-regulation. Self-regulation prevents the moments you wish you could just take back. This involves controlling our disruptive emotions. When you take on a leadership role, you can no longer afford to panic when things go stressful. It calls you to keep your control of your emotions and how they affect others, as well as stay committed to personal accountability. Please write this down. Relationship management. This is so crucial. Relationship management. Empathy is what allows us to put ourselves in other people's shoes and being able to recognize the feelings and viewpoints of others without judgment. I remember Trent Shelton, he once said that we are all little broken, but last time I checked, broken crayons still color the same. So leaders with empathy actively support the career and personal development for other team members. So if you want to keep your team happy, you need to have those tough conversations to better understand what motivates or upsets them. Emotional intelligence is a trait that can be developed to determine business success. Unfortunately, emotional intelligence can be improved to build collaborative performance culture in a workplace. Emotional intelligence has recently become one of the key talking points, like Alio mentioned. These key talking points has enabled individuals to be more adaptable in society. Honestly, in closing, I wish you can write this down. Just write this down for now. Resilience to greatness. Resilience to greatness. Everything has been said about emotional intelligence. Now it comes back to you. If I can be honest with you, I don't know what dreams you have about your life. I don't know what goals you have maybe for the next 10 years in your life, for the next 5 years, for the next 2 years. But here is one thing I know about you. You are destined for greatness. Inside of you, God has put seeds of excellence. Those seeds are supposed to grow and flourish. Many people have become crippled by their past encounters, and some have stepped over other people to get to the top. But I believe that God has better plans for every one of us. We are all destined for greatness as long as we follow his strategy. This is when the growth commences, because discovering your gift and following God's idea will make you understand that you have everything around you to reach to your full potential. My everyday inspiration, Mr. Les Brown, he once said, if you had to die today, at this very moment, at this hour, what dreams, what ideas, what visions, and what goals and what books will die with you? And he also continued that the richest place on this planet is the cemetery, because that's where all the dreams, all the visions, all the goals, and all the ideas have been buried. Honestly, I don't know about you, what comes into your mind when you think about this message, but with me, it just gave me sleepless nights. And I am so proud today to introduce Rise to Greater Heights book before you. This book, honestly, it's a comprehensive guide to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, especially under these circumstances. So this book has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. And by the way, Les Brown, he wrote the foreword in this book. And the moment you get this book, you'll be able to explore leadership, empowerment, being purpose-driven, mentorship, coaching, resilience to greatness, mental health, emotional intelligence, and many, many topics, including single parenting and spiritual growth. Because you know what, I think whosoever say that the sky is the limit was completely wrong. From today on, I, Nompumelelo Riel Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. Thank you. Oh my God, we are at the end of our podcast. So please feel free, if you have like last minute thoughts on emotional intelligence, please feel free to step in and share with our amazing viewers online. I'll just check if we have any questions from them. So anyone can just jump in and share your final thoughts.
Yes, I just wanted to say, well, amazing job, everybody. I love hearing from different people on different subjects, and just it's always a group effort, and just to be with people like this, it really is a blessing, and it just really shows the importance of emotional intelligence and how broad and how objective it is, because we each have our own subjective experiences with it. For me, it was the West Nile. It was being sick. It was with this illness. It was when, and I didn't really mention this, but when I was sick, there was really no one there that was really helping me. But it was at rock bottom where I found God. And then you have Joseph, who, he talks about, again, hitting the rock bottom. He talks about his business. He talks about his marriage, but it was through emotional intelligence. He's become a better parent and a better person. And then Aluba, he talks about his childhood and what he grew up in, and it's completely different from the childhood that I had. And yet he uses it as a way to not only help himself, but now he's helping others and helping kids. And so we each have very distinct lifestyles. We each have different things that we went through, and yet the end goal is the same. It's this emotional intelligence. It's really stepping into our own power within. And this goes for everybody, because everybody's situation is different. Everybody's life circumstances, everybody, what they've gone through and what they're going through in life is different, and yet we all have the same path. We all have the same end destination, and that's connecting to our true power, rising to greater heights, and just really stepping into who we're called to be. So I just find so much beauty and power in that, and thank you again for having me on here.
Thank you, Grant. Anyone who wants to step in?
Thank you for being part of this beautiful and great community. Thank you, Grant, Aliu, Nompumelelo. I have to thank myself to accept your invitation, because otherwise I wouldn't experience it. Yes, Grant, you have just said it. We all just have different circumstances, but every single person, doesn't matter where he or she is from, is dealing with the same things. If it's not you, it's your neighbor. If not your neighbor, it's your cousin. We're dealing with the same situations in life, being in here in Europe, in Canada, in Africa, I don't care in what continent, what country. So we can all help each other through our own experiences. And yes, I do believe that I was kept in here to help others to rise, because I know how it felt where there was no one and God was the only one that I could turn to, and he did send me help. So I have to pass it on. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. Nomompelo, Will, Gunene, you're always doing amazing, great job. And then I came a little bit late. I missed Grant's, speech, and also Joseph. My apologies for that. But to be honest, it's been great, since joining this Power Voice group. And then also now I'm connecting with the right people, because my mentor, Les Brown, said, surround yourself with the right people who are going to uplift you, people who are going to see it for you, people who are going to see it in you, and also people who can believe something in you, and then until your own belief kicks in. So I'm really grateful to be part of this. And then all of your stories, I wasn't here, but I believe we are all gearing towards the same goals and dreams about how to tackle this emotional intelligence, because people are dealing with it and it's really hard. At my young age, how I managed to deal with it until where I am today, it will really help me to tell my story to these kids, elderly people, middle age, my generation, to help them how to overcome these emotions, and then develop that intelligent emotion in them, and then how they can proceed in life before they will just be grounded. Because some of these things, if you don't know it, you have no understanding about it, it's really, really hard for you to comprehend whatever have happened to you. But if you understand where it's all coming from, and then knowing who you are, these things will really be helpful to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We actually have a compliment from one of our brothers from the Les Brown family. He's saying, his name is Lenwood Wilson Jr., but on YouTube, he goes by Affirmations for Growth. He says that keep rising. Networking is key. And you need to, you need good emotional intelligence to navigate this world. So for more information on personal development videos, you can check his YouTube channel. It's Affirmations for Growth. So thank you so much, amazing speakers. And to our viewers online, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success. I hope and believe that you've been inspired, motivated, and ready to take your greatness to the next level. So join us next week at the same time, same place. Thank you so much. Merci. Siabong.